So I'm just in the process of like planning to make like another video about what Israel are doing, but just like I'm sure with like a lot of you, the whole week, if you follow this stuff, has been hard, and just like I don't even know how to describe it. It's like how people must have been when they're watching like the Rwandan genocide in the 90s. It's like or the Bosnian genocide, and it's like what's even worse about it is not only do we know or we're seeing like mass killing happening, we know it's going to get worse. Like Israel using white phosphorus on like hospitals and stuff, right? So we know like an actual genocide is coming like in front of us. Every single Western government is supporting this. France, the UK, basically all European countries. The United States, Joe Biden has not urged restraint in any way. The only governments I've seen strongly condemning the violence is Scotland and Ireland, and Scotland seems like it's because the Scottish Prime Minister has family or his wife's family actually live in Gaza. With Ireland, you know, it makes sense because of the history of settler colonialism in Ireland. But yeah, like we're watching this, and also I've just gone on a massive unfollow spree on both my Instagram accounts of basically every single celeb because they're all supporting this. They're actually supporting genocide. And in 5 years' time, when the whole of Gaza is an Israeli settlement and Palestinian refugees are like all over the Middle East even more than they are already, what's going to happen is these celebs are going to pretend like they never ever supported it. And that even goes for the people both sidesing it, like acting like there is some sort of moral equivalence between the occupier and the occupied. And honestly, at this point, you can't even use, oh my God, but Hamas. If the justification is Hamas are worse than Israel because they kill children, Israel have now killed more children than Hamas by a big margin. And it's just insane for people to still back an apartheid state. And also on that note, what fascinates me about Israeli history is some of the original Zionists actually were in the Warsaw Ghetto, and they fought the Nazis in the Warsaw Ghetto as the Nazis genocided the Jews in the Warsaw Ghetto, right? And only like, you know, there were like, you know, a few survivors, but most didn't survive. They go to Israel, create this state. They're doing the same thing now. Gaza is the Warsaw Ghetto, and we are watching this happening again. And never again shouldn't just mean never again for Jews who live in Israel. Therefore, we're going to do terrible things throughout our whole history to ensure we're never victims. It should mean stuff that happened during World War II should never happen again. And sadly, we've seen it continuously happen again. But now the irony isn't lost on me that they're weaponizing some sort of woke sentiment that you're an anti-Semite if you don't support Israel doing genocide. And it's just, you know, incredibly depressing. And I just don't even know, like, what to do because it's everyone. The only option we have in the UK is the government supporting genocide or the leader of the opposition supporting genocide, who used to allegedly be a human rights lawyer. They know it's wrong. They know better. And that's how absolutely cucked they are by the foreign policy establishment. And a lot of people say by the Israeli lobby, but it's not even just that. People need to understand, while the Israeli lobby is very influential, it's not the only thing that ensures we keep supporting genocide. The UK foreign policy establishment, they love Israel because it's an ally in the region to counter their enemies like Iran and stuff. The US evangelical Christians absolutely love Israel, but they hate Jews. They just want Israel to kick off Armageddon, where the Christian Zionists, as they call themselves, will be raised to heaven in New Jerusalem, like the Jews believe in their version of the apocalypse and stuff. But in this version, with the Christian Zionists, the Jews are then asked to convert or die. And those are the type, you know, evangelical Christians are very powerful. Those are the types of people driving this support for genocide. So on the Republican side, it's that. On the liberal side, you have, you know, AIPAC, you have the Israeli lobby, you have all these people targeting the Democrats into supporting this. And what I'll say to that is, I'm never voting for the Labour Party ever again, unless there's some sort of like radical revolution where a Jeremy Corbyn follower gets in and purges the leadership. I'm not ever voting for them. And in the US, I'd say, you know, what is the point in voting for Biden? what you get to vote for someone who enabled genocide. Biden has the power to stop this. So does Biden, Rishi Sunak, all these people. If they came together and told Israel to stop, Israel would stop. But they're letting Israel do this because they don't care. And as you get older, you realise the countries you grew up in absolutely do not give a shit about genocide. And we can see that recently with the Canadian Parliament all having a standing ovation for a guy who was literally in the SS. We can see it with like how much after World War II, all our governments saved Nazis from retribution, especially from the Soviet Union, coming to kill a lot of them, like in Ukraine. How many Ukrainian Nazis fled to the UK and Canada? Thousands of them. And then you also have places like in Greece where people who actually did the Holocaust, and you know, in Greece, one of the worst Holocausts because it killed like 99% of the Jewish population, they put them in the post-war government because they were anti-communist, right? So I'm hoping for a lot of people who are maybe like naive liberal patriots, this is what your country is. This is the UK. The UK has always supported genocide. The UK has always supported mass killing. You know, I come from an Irish background. I like to remind people of that a lot. Did the same thing in Ireland, right? And I was reading a book about my IRA ancestor today and just reading about the history and thinking about the parallels with what we're seeing right now. And the main thing is, if you care about human rights, and even if you are anti-Hamas, how do you not realise what the Israeli government is doing right now ensures Hamas, Hezbollah, all these insurgent groups, they're going to be around for decades to come. It doesn't matter if Gaza ceases to be a Palestinian territory in the next year or whatever. Hamas is going to be around for a long, long time. Because what do these people have to lose now? Everything Hamas has told them about Israel and their propaganda, all this hateful stuff, they will now believe it. Because they're literally seeing the entire Western world complicit in their own genocide. So think of all those Palestinian children. It's like 40% of Palestine or 40% of Gaza is children. This is their childhood. What do you think they're going to feel like when they're older? Do you think they're going to be all, you know, friendly, want peace with the Israelis? Or do you think they're probably going to fight, you know, for the rest of their lives? And if you have a family who have suffered under colonialism, or you have ancestors who fought colonialism, you will understand that sentiment of people realising in the face of their own either actual killing or the face of their own culture being destroyed, they're going to fight back. And this is just not going to go away anytime soon. And Israeli Defense Force, Israeli Army, I don't have sympathy for people who are recruits saying, you know, following orders, all that garbage. Israeli Defense Force should be refusing, and they should overthrow Netanyahu as well. If they really care about human rights, if they really care about babies like they claim to, go overthrow your own government who's making you do this, or you're complicit in actually doing a genocide.